and welcome to a brand new episode of the Five Heart Podcast. My name is Greg Mahochko, and I am joined by an eclectic, an eccentric, a dynamic duo of dumbasses. Gotta wake them up somehow. First is our founder and fearless leader. You know him, you love him, you enjoy his YouTube videos. And that's John Dam Johnston. John, look up, say hello to the nice people who are taking time out of their lives to watch and or listen to this show.
I was just beating Dallas in Retro Bowl.
Okay. We can talk about that another time.
Okay.
Do you want to say hi to the people?
Hi, people.
Okay. Thank you.
I got a question for you all. I got a question for you. I got a question.
Can I introduce Todd first?
Sure. Go ahead and introduce that fucker.
And joining us again, as always, however you want to put it, and it's nice to catch him on this side of his evening nap, and that's Todd Wolverton. Hello, Todd.
Hi, Greg. Hi, John, you bastard.
I'm not going to beat you up too much about it. It's become a nightly routine when I'm trying to get one of my twins to fall asleep that I do a little bit of that. Yeah, eye close, head.
I can't do that at all.
Thing.
If I take a nap after 6 o'clock at night, it just screws up my entire sleep cycle. You guys kept me waiting for long enough. My language skills have gone to shit. There you go. I have a question. I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
I used to work with a guy who, honest to God, he would complain all the time about the days we live in, and he wished that we were back in 1880.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't around in 1880.
1880. He wished that the life now was like it was in 1880. He also believed that there were giants in archaeology sites. You know what I mean? If you go out there, there's this whole group of people who believe that they have found giants, honest to God, giants at archaeology sites, and the government is covering up the existence of giants. Go look it up. It's out there. This is Art Bell with Coast to Coast. Next, we'll be talking about the crystal skulls. But first, before we get to that, I want to ask you a question. I mean, do you think it would be easier for you to take care of a horse than it would be to manage all the electronics in your house?
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting question, because if we are in 1880 and horses are, among the elite technological advances that we've had, which is a weird way to say that, we already have all the knowledge to take care. We can fathom, right, what it would be like to be in 1880. But if you posed a similar question to somebody from, like Nebraska when they, 140 years ago, when it was being plotted or, settled, I guess is the more appropriate, historically accurate word, they would be like, what do you mean? They have no concept. So for me, managing the technology, but again, I don't have any prepossessed equestrian information at my disposal.
Todd,
I feed it, I brush it, I walk it,
and you shoot it when it goes lame.
There you go.
Then you turn it into glue.
No, somebody else turns it into glue.
Not if you got the glue factory.
You most
John.
likely did, on your circumstances, probably cut it up and eat horse meat, because you would be a poor motherfucker, Greg.
Wow. I'm hurtful.
Well, God damn it. I'm trying to get my energy going here, and Todd's helping a lot. Look he just looks like a decaying old man.
This is important though, because there is not a job that I have held in my life on a full-time basis. So let's say like in my 20s on, that was around 140 years ago. The closest I have to it would have been when I worked at a grocery store. And so like stocking shelves at the general store in town, making sure that everybody's got their apples or, their jars of molasses or what, I don't know. It'd be the closest equivalent from everything. There was no radio, or radio broadcasting, I should say, for entertainment purposes. And that's assuming that I'm entertaining now. Who the hell knows?
I punched a horse in the face once.
Stop talking about your ex-girlfriend.
Wow. No, I did. This friend of mine, they raised quarter horses and they raised them for racing. And they wanted me to take care of this colt where they were gone for a week. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? And he just said, just don't turn your back on it when you're feeding it. And I'm like, okay, fine. And what'd I do? Of course.
Turned your back.
I turned my back on it when I was feeding it. And the son of a bitch bit me right in the middle of my back. And God, it hurt a lot. And I was so shocked by it. I turned around and punched the horse just right in the face. And I stood there looking at the horse, and the horse looked at me. And, after that, we were best buddies because the horse understood, don't bite me. I'll punch you in the face, you motherfucker. There you go.
That is the complete opposite of like the wild primates that you're not supposed to look directly in the eye. Like you went eye to eye, toe to toe, long face to long face with that 4-legged bastard, and you showed him what's up. Proud of you, John.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of surprised I did it myself, and we just kind of eyed each other up, and it was a beautiful horse. He raised absolutely beautiful horses. I spent a lot of time on horses when I was young. Well, not a lot, but I got my chances.
John.
Yeah,
and this is a good question
for years.
This is a good question for you as well, Todd. Have you guys seen the movie Good Will Hunting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Doesn't John look like that yuppie douchebag from Harvard who had like the little ponytail and the little one or two wisps of hair going down the side? Who's like, where Matt Damon's like, you like apples? Well, I got a number. So how do you like them apples?
Yeah, I look like that guy, except he's young, Greg. Thanks a lot.
Not anymore. That was almost 25 years ago. You're fine.
Okay. Did you want another horse tail? No, I was working on shit today. I was, lately my work has been a lot of work that has really exhausted me. I would like to do more YouTube videos, but I find myself being exhausted by my work life. And I won't. It's a Linux system that got scanned for security and it failed completely, and I had to replace it and update it and do everything to it. And it just fucking wore me out because of the brain injury part of my life. Looking at all that command line shit and all the variables flying in there. All I could think of was that guy riding a horse out to an archaeology dig site and going, my God, there's giant skeleton bones in here. And then the government comes in and like black helicopters shoots my horse out from underneath me and starts getting rid of all the evidence of the giants. This didn't start the way you thought it would, did it?
Are we going to talk about Nebraska?
I want to point our listeners to this particular website. Archive.archaeology.org has an article from there. It's probably transposed from an actual publication because it says volume 58, number 6, November/December of 2005. Soon they had unearthed a colossal figure more than 10 feet from head to toe.
See?
And one of those individuals was the name of, Andrew White, first president of Cornell University, later described his visit. The roads were crowded with buggies, carriages, and even omnibuses from the city, and with lumber wagons from the farms, all laden with passengers. The giant was an impressive sight. Lying in its grave, wrote White, with the subdued light from the roof of the tent falling upon it, and with the limbs contorted as if in a death struggle, it produced the most weird effect. An air of great solemnity pervaded the place. Visitors hardly spoke above a whisper.
And now you've all been introduced to a whole new rabbit hole in your lives that you can go down. You probably didn't realize existed.
I heard a more weird one. Are you guys familiar with the conspiracy theory of the lizard people?
Oh, fuck yeah. I
Okay.
do that all the time. Yeah. There's lizard people among us. Birds aren't real.
Todd, do you have a favorite conspiracy you like?
No.
You know what?
Oh.
You know what giant was unearthed this week, Todd?
Oh.
Well, Willie Mays is still alive, or is he dead? Lawrence Taylor, was he unearthed? Bobby Bonds, Juan Marichal, Phil Simms.
Oh my God.
Sometimes you can be a downright a-hole.
I'm trying to figure out.
I was thinking of the giant hole that's going to be in our defensive fucking line this year.
Oh, well, what
Casey Rogers decided he'd go into the transfer portal.
Yeah,
and we don't have any defensive line depth.
Good.
See, there was all a means to this madness. We were going somewhere.
No,
we don't have the
Todd.
horses on the defensive line to stay up with the Big Ten West Division.
Todd, before you get all poopy pantsed, I want to read to you and everyone the tweet that Casey Rogers put out there. First of all, let's not forget that he's one of those once a Husker, always a Husker, because if he is in fact departing the University of Nebraska, he's doing so with a degree. So, kudos to him. He says, the past 4 years have been some of the most special years of my life. I've made countless memories here in Nebraska that I'm very thankful for. This May, I'll be graduating from the University of Nebraska. With that being said, at this time, I'll be entering the NCAA portal to explore emphasis on all of my options in obtaining the best possible education and continuing to play football for my last 2 years of eligibility. I am hoping all doors are open and none have closed as I consider the options best for me. Now, you can be a little negative turd sandwich and say, well, he's leaving good riddance. Or you can say, if he's keeping all of his options open, we all know how the transfer portal works. It is flooded every year. He might be coming back. So we don't necessarily have to say good riddance until he shuffles off somewhere else.
Well, I'd probably think he's gone. I mean, he got an offer from Arkansas almost immediately.
Yeah, but would you rather play in Nebraska or Arkansas? I don't know.
Well, it is the SEC. On the other hand, what's he graduating in?
It didn't say.
Okay, so he's going to do 2 more years. He's probably going to get a master's in something. Maybe it'll be archaeology.
I love it. Thank you for that, John.
Maybe Arkansas has some special kind of program he wants to get into, like searching for giants and places, lizard people.
Is that like searching for love?
But the question is this: why is he's one of the key points of the defense? Why is he even in the transfer portal? Do we need to go over that?
Because
he's the only one that knows, but we do speculation. That's what we do.
His feelings got hurt
by
that dude from TCU that's supposedly getting NIL money more so than what he is if he comes to Nebraska. And so he feels bad. He's upset.
Do you think he's looking for money?
I have no idea what he's looking for.
We're speculating, Todd.
He's a smart kid. And if he's looking for more money, then I guess he has his prerogative to look for more money. But, if his little press release or his little Twitter or statement, whatever we want to call it, if he'd have said, thank you very much for the 4 years at Nebraska, I graduated and I'm moving on to the next step in my life. Football is in my past. Hooray, you're a college graduate, get on with life. I'd be happy for him, even though I don't sound like it. But, he accomplished that goal. So, what it is now he's again, it's this me crap that just absolutely, I'm sick of it. And we've seen it with this generation of athletes for the last, this generation, previous generation. The hell with the team. There's no such thing as team. There's no such thing as a commitment. There's no such thing as all for one, one for all. I'm not happy, I'm leaving. Or, the coach yelled at me. I'm gone. And don't give me this shit that the transfer portal has made all of that possible. People were doing that before the portal. It's just exacerbated the situation. Speeded it up.
That's a big word.
Okay, so I went off the reservation and used exasperate, 5-syllable word. That's pretty good.
People from Iowa won't be. Well, wait a minute. You're from Iowa. Move on. Let's get you go on now. Exacerbated.
It was asked. What was his field of study? He's a sports media and communication major.
So maybe they got more sports media and mastering going on down there, Arkansas. Suey.
Well, first of all, I think I agree with everybody, both here on this call and everybody watching and listening, that a red-assed Todd is a really entertaining Todd. So,
okay, I'm
upset about the whole damn thing, because if there's a position on this football team that, is light, that doesn't have depth, it's the defensive line. And Casey Rogers knows that. Jordan Riley knew that too. And those guys both could contribute to the team this year. But, they ran off to whatever they perceive as greener pastures. Now, if they were mistreated or whatever it might be, okay. But that's not what they're saying. In fact, they're not saying why. I'm just leaving.
Okay, it's rumored
all you
that
want about Jordan Riley going to Oregon because his coach ended up going to Oregon. Okay, I understand that happens. But, this makes no sense to me. But then if you want to go even deeper, what the hell's the problem with this football team that we lose quality players like this, and yet we're supposed to be in the portal looking for depth in that position? We can't seem to find any. You'd think we'd be doing everything we possibly can to keep what we have.
That you don't really have an idea of whether this was a surprise to any of the Nebraska coaches or anything. But yeah, you're right. You'd think at that position. I mean, it's not like it's a shock that they just suddenly came to work one day and went, "Hey, we don't have enough defensive linemen." Playing in a division where every one of the teams we're going to face next year is pretty much going to look at us and go, "No defensive linemen. I guess we know what our game plan is. We're just going to, Minnesota's going to run nickel duo 53 times instead of 40. They're just going to run, every one of these teams is going to run the ball directly at us. And
I want to say
the offense get on the field.
Rogers was the most veteran defensive lineman who was still going to be here, because we talked, about or we have talked about some of the other departures, both for exhausting eligibility, going to the NFL, Jordan going to Oregon. Now, I say all that. I think we have depth. I just don't think we have experience. And I know those are two very different qualities of a defensive lineman. But we still have Ty Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Today.
You shut your damn dirty whorish mouth.
Oh God, that'd be a disaster.
Well, we heard of him. We heard about him possibly looking at Arizona State before the season was over.
Arizona State has lost their top quarterback, their top wide receiver, and their top linebacker, like in the last 3 days or something. So
maybe
it's not just us.
He's quarterback and has a shot.
And let's not forget who and I think we all are very excited to see.
Mosai Newsom.
Nash. The polar bear.
Nut
Hut
Masher.
mocker. Hut
I thought it was
matcher.
Nut Masher.
Hut. According to
Mocker.
Huskers.com.
No, it's Nut Masher.
No, okay. You're just being silly.
That's my name for him, and I'm never going to get the other name right. Every story I write that has him
Well,
in
if
it,
the
it's
polar
probably gonna have
bear,
his name is Nut
if the
Masher.
polar bear can play, great. He'll help out. But he hasn't proven that he can play. He's proven that he can bench press Vietnam, but he hasn't shown that squat Cambodia.
I think the problem is, when you look at the defensive line, though, you're going to have to need a rotation because they're going to get the shit beat out of them. They're really large guys. They mash into the other large guys. They just constantly get beat up. So
typically they're rotating those guys in and out every couple series.
Yeah, if they have the depth. I mean, at this point, you're really just saying we're going to just put bodies in the field and hope that's enough that we can stop and win a division that mostly runs the ball in a team, in a league, in a conference that's known for 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That we're short on the defensive line. This should be like a major. We have 236 quarterbacks, receivers, and running backs, but we don't have enough defensive linemen.
We're going to find them in the portal.
Portal. In the portal.
Our coaching staff is, as we speak, they are watching film of all 33,000 defensive linemen that are in the portal. And we are going to bring in 3 difference makers from the portal.
Well, let's talk about one of those defensive linemen who's in the portal. You dill hole. And that would be former 4-star from 247 Sports ratings. At least coming out of high school, he was 6'4", 299. And that's Stephon Wynn, who is in the portal from Alabama.
They play football in Alabama?
Yeah, but usually it's against like Mercer and Citadel and a bunch of other small schools. So
if we could get a 4-star player 4-star out of high school player, that would certainly be what should be a talented player, to fill that hole. Okay, so
this guy doesn't have a neck. I mean, you see his picture; it's a portrait. He doesn't have a neck, and his entire head looks like it could be its own weapon. He literally, his head could be a murder weapon by itself.
Let's not talk too negatively about him. He may be our
That's not negative. There's nothing negative about that.
You said this the man guy, doesn't have a neck.
He looks like he could, bite cars in half.
You know who else doesn't have a neck? Todd. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Because his wife is constantly hitting him over the head with frying pans and shit.
Apparently not hard enough. He'd beat some positivity back into you. Where's the hope, Todd?
He had hope. Eternal. He had the hope we're going to pick up 3 difference makers. Or was that sarcasm, Todd? Was that sarcasm?
Well, I'm sure we're going to pick up 3 difference makers. I mean, we've done such a good job, identifying talent in the portal and bringing it in. We've hit a home run with Samari Toure.
And
I vaguely recall a defensive back from Ohio State that we all thought people thought was going to make a difference.
We don't know what Casey Thompson's going to look like, in a full run. It's a possibility. That could be a home run.
Don't know what the
Marquise Stepp came to us from the transfer portal.
There you go. Did he have 1,200 or 1,300 yards last year?
Jeez. Wow. I guess I never really thought of this. But
Todd, you're being
prepare this part, or does it just happen this way?
Todd, go back to bed.
Yeah, I should. I'll tell you what it is. This is what it comes down with me, is that everybody wants to bitch and complain. I read a letter to the editor by some guy from Omaha in the World Herald this morning. And, everybody wants to bitch and complain about how NIL and the transfer portal are destroying college football as we know it. College football started its downward decline probably 25 years ago when college presidents recognized they could put billions of dollars or millions of dollars in their coffers with television contracts, and they sold their souls. So, and on the backs of 18 to 22-year-old people, young men, young women in some cases. Okay, so now we're reaping what we sow, but it still comes back. I'm in the last school that I was at. The last thing I wanted to do before I left, and I didn't get it done because of damn COVID, but I wanted to paint on the walls of the gym in 25-foot letters, team, so that people understood what the purpose of athletics are in high schools and college. There are not individual sports that are sponsored by the University of Nebraska. Those are team sports. And when this era that we have where everybody, it's all about me, the hell with them. And it pisses me off.
Wow. This is one of the most perfect old man podcasts ever. Could you just go, clouds, so we could keep that as a sound bite? Come on, do it. Do it. You're in old man mode.
Greg, are you holding John?
I have a question.
Oh, he's a question. You're not going to do clouds?
I'm not old enough. Don't let the gray hair fool you. I have a question for you, Todd. If you position unrelated, but if you position Todd your hand up and John your hand, look like you guys are high-fiving or holding hands. Anyway, what is stopping you from going back to that school, breaking in, and painting the word team in the gymnasium?
What is stopping me?
You got to do it right. You got to get some spray paint cans, preferably if they're in the rival school's colors. I think you should do it. Quit being a pussy.
I do value living outside of jail.
But shit, he's told everybody he's going to do it now. Now they don't know it. It's kind of like me when I come up with plans to fake my own death, and then I tell somebody how I'm going to fake my own death, getting in a little rubber tube and riding all the way down the Mississippi to New Orleans and getting on a trawler and going somewhere. I've told enough people that they're like, that shit, that's what he's going to do. Now I can't do that anymore.
That's your throw him off plan.
Well, I have to come up with what I have to come up with? A way to have a bear fight me during an explosion, which I really don't die.
Well, we already know you can beat the shit out of a horse. So bear's the next step up.
Step up to a bear.
I think I got to get in a little bit better shape. Have I told you this, how you kill a bear?
I'm curious. You have my undivided attention.
Well, you wait until it's like, and it's opening its mouth real wide, and then you just take your head and shove it into its mouth as hard as you can. So it gets your head down into its throat and it can't breathe and it just asphyxiates.
But won't you also asphyxiate by having your breathing?
I'll probably have my head crushed when the bear closes its mouth, but I'll still be having my head in there. And then just think about this. Just think about it. Some fucking people will come along and find you with a grizzly bear in your head, just your whole body. And they'll go, that son of a bitch knew how to die. I mean, if I can do it that way, I can do without the explosion. But this, you know what I mean? Just kind of like finding two fish that are trying to eat each other. And you're like, wow, look at that. The pike couldn't quite get the bass in its mouth, that it was way too big. You ever seen that? Okay, maybe not. But, just think of walking along an Alaskan trail and you're like, holy shit, it's a dead grizzly bear and some grunchy old guy. with his head stuck down in there. I should get out more.
So while we're talking about the potential of Alabama 4-star players coming to Lincoln, we should talk about one that's for sure going to happen. The Nebraska men's basketball team, that's right, the mayor himself, Fred Hoiberg's squad, getting a boost from a former 4-star transfer by the name of Juwan Gary, coming to Lincoln from Tuscaloosa, a small forward, and that was just became news earlier today.
Does Nebraska need small forwards?
I don't.
Guessing.
I haven't thought about the basketball team lately. I know we need big guys, really big guys, really huge guys, like massive guys that get in there and rebound. I think
he was a top 100 player out of high school.
So he's a good player.
Yeah,
good players. I mean, at any position.
6'6", 218. And he went to Alabama over North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, Clemson, and South Carolina. He is a South Carolina native. Played in 29 games overall for Alabama. He does come in with he's not. I'm trying not to insult the man. I don't want to call him damaged goods, but he did have a torn ACL in the 2019-2020 season. But he does have 2 years of eligibility remaining. So
I think they just they need guys that can score and guys can play basketball and put in some minutes. And
that's what they need.
Think about this. You think about this guy. I mean, where he's ranked. Let's see, 93 overall player, number 23 small forward in the 2019 class. That's still way above most of the players we've ever had come to Nebraska in terms of a ranking or a talent evaluation. So I guess, we're just going to see I haven't thought about basketball for.
Well, and the positive too is that he was brought here, without Abel Desmaya or whatever, however you say his name, the assistant coach, Matt, who was responsible for all the recruiting before he was let go by Hoiberg. So, there's the coaching staff is on the trail, it sounds like, and hopefully they'll bring in another player or two that are going to contribute. So,
I think you said earlier about keeping your guys. I mean, the biggest decision that's probably going to be made is whether or not Trey McGowan's comes back instead of going pro. And I think, having Trey McGowan's come back would be an enormous boost to this program.
Yeah, Derek Walker's sticking around. So just need more. We talked about this when it was announced that Derek was staying, is you got to build that foundation from somewhere. And there's been a ton of roster turnover for Nebraska men's basketball squad. So a little consistency is not going to hurt. It's only going to help that unit. Now, this just came across the wire, guys. I don't know if you know, but the Nebraska baseball team also is gleaming some interest from an Alabama 4-star center fielder.
We could use a center fielder, I think.
We could use a center fielder.
Damn, I had to. I wish I could have made it in a less believable. Well, football's potentially bringing in an Alabama.
Can he run fast in the outfield out there? Man, I told you that, you guys, it's getting late and I'm old and my language goes to shit late. Can he run fast?
I was making it all up. I just thought
it was funny. Really, you son of a bitch, I got all excited.
Maybe we could swap Casey Rogers to Arkansas for a center fielder. Because I'm sure Arkansas's got a good one.
Yeah, they do. They probably do.
Maybe we can swap Casey Rogers to Arkansas for Dave Van Horn.
Yeah, he's getting old.
Yeah, he's not got that many years left. We got Rob.
Never mind.
Will Bolt. He's going to do fine.
We need to find defensive linemen.
Yeah. Where you got any defensive linemen laying around at your house, Greg?
Not
They're
for
like
probably
six-
another
six and
17,
one.
18 years.
Well, the guys could have just walked in.
I'm kind of concerned at the notion that somebody's just walking into my house at
Defensive
10 o'clock at
linemen
night.
are walking in his house.
They'd walk on. Get your what?
I don't have enough food in my house for a defensive lineman to just walk in here. We got to go grocery shopping. But let's not.
I had a defensive lineman live in my house for one night, and he ate a lot. The Division I defensive lineman.
It's important to note that we're almost to May, and I believe sometime in May we're going to be blessed with the presence of Haas Reuter, who's going to talk offensive and defensive lines. We're waiting for him to finish up his master's. We're being patient. We know that he has been requested on a number of occasions, and I've reached out to him, and it's always the same answer. I'll definitely do it. Let me finish up my school. So
will he bring a more intelligent approach to conversation about the offensive or defensive line, or I mean, I'm serious because we don't.
He knows his stuff very well. I bet he's never punched a horse though. He probably doesn't know how to kill a grizzly bear with his head, motherfucker.
I want to go back and talk a little bit more about the defensive lineman room. You know, obviously like QB room, running back room, things like that. Defensive lineman, it's just very wordy. I don't like it's too many words. But I mentioned that Casey Rogers, if he does in fact depart, will have been the one of two juniors, but certainly the only one that ever really played. No offense to Colton Feist out of UTAN.
Hear good
Nebraska.
things about Colton Feist.
I'm not trying to disparage him, but we really only have Ty Robinson coming back with any experience, any game experience. But we have, when you look at like Jalen Weaver, right? 6'8", 320. That's a big boy. You know,
I hear he spits lightning and farts thunder. They say he's one mean son of a gun.
I can't tell anymore, Todd, if you're being serious or if you're.
No, I am. This one I'm serious about. They say he is a bad hombre.
So, I mean, that's kind of the mentality you need for, a defensive lineman, a down lineman in the Big Ten is that nastiness. I think one of you guys earlier mentioned Mosai Newsom, the sophomore, 6'4", 285. Then you have Raquan Buckley, the redshirt freshman at 6'5", 290, who's from Wyoming, by the way, Wyoming, Michigan. Just saying. We already talked about the polar bear, Marquise Black, a redshirt freshman, 6'3", 315. That guy, again, you never judge a book by its cover, but he's not smiling in his photo. And I take that to mean that he's, very businesslike. Casey Rogers, we know that the uncertainty there, at least for now. Ty Robinson, and then Brody Tagaloa from California, De La Salle, the freshman at 6'4", 260. That again, I don't think it's a bad quote unquote defensive lineman room. I just think it's an inexperienced one, a little on the young side. I think you get a Stefan Wynn and maybe one other guy who can, be a little bit of leaders. And I don't think it's a house on fire type of situation. These guys just need a little bit of defensive line. Look, I'm not trying to talk down to anybody, especially you guys. And this is not something that I'm the first person to ever come up with this, notion, but the defensive line is not a spot you want to throw an 18, 19-year-old individual in. They need to have some weight room experience. There are different, certain rare occasions where they just are, inhuman. And I get that. I'm not, so don't come I mean, you say, well, this guy and this guy. Okay. But by and large, you want a guy who's going to, mature a little bit physically before he steps on the field, especially in the Big Ten. I think the pieces are there. They just need the experience. Todd, I will open the floor to you to shoot holes in my theory.
No, I think you're absolutely 100% right. And in the 2024 season, when the new head coach is on the scene, he'll have a very talented defensive line. So
I wish I was in charge of this. I would mute you right now. Okay. Let's go that far down. I'm sorry, John.
Well,
who's going to be the head coach 2024, Todd?
2023 in 2023.
Okay, who do you got? Who's your top 3 picks to come to Lincoln and be the head coach?
I'm not talking about that. I'm off on him. I'm not. I said that I wasn't talking about our coach.
You said new head coach 2023 or 2024.
Yeah.
So who do you have in mind to replace him? John?
3 candidates I got.
That was very quick.
Mickey Joseph, Mark Whipple, Eric Chinander. Every one of those guys would take this job if it was offered to them.
I don't disagree.
I'm going to give you another conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Right now, the defensive line is the weakest position and a position we need to be strong to win our division. Do you suppose Scott Frost did this on purpose so he had somebody else beside himself to blame next season when we start losing games by being run over and giving up 300 and 400 yards rushing every game?
John.
That's the off season. There's lizard people among us.
I cannot wait to see you in the fall and hit you.
Will Smith got in a lot of trouble for that.
Yeah, well, Will Smith makes a lot more money than I do. So,
Greg, actually, with what you're saying, I think there are a lot of talented players there. But, I'm not going to go back on what I said, months ago, that with all that's riding on this season, with all that is riding on what's going to happen in the next 12 football games, this is a setback. And if this team is going to rely on freshmen and sophomores and on the defensive line, I think that makes it a real uphill battle. And, I've listened to some pundits in the last couple of days, in the last 24 hours. Okay, so if we just have some big bodies, that can occupy people so our linebackers can move and make plays. Well, you know what? We've got 2 pretty good inside linebackers, but both of them have played less than 10 games, 8 games the last couple of years. I mean, injuries are going to happen. And when you go from having a defense that played as well as it did this past year with veterans up front on the defensive line, and to see this kind of a drop off, that is very concerning to me. I understand I've been, a smart ass through most of this, but I am worried about this. And I think it paints a whole different picture on the prospects for this upcoming season.
Okay, Todd.
That was very rational. Well done. That was very good. People had to listen to this for like an hour to get to that.
Well, I was tired, damn
it. So I guess the thing is, when Casey Rogers goes in to meet with, his position coach, Coach Chinander, Scott Frost, whomever, and says, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. I think I'm going to enter the transfer portal, blah, blah." Like, nobody's in that room. So how do what's Scott Frost supposed to do? Is he supposed to get down on his hands and knees. Oh, Casey Rogers, please don't go. We can't afford to lose you. We've got a chance to win the win. No.
But, and again, I'm not, I don't know the personalities of all these people, but, if Casey Rogers is butthurt because of all of the attention that was given to the kid from TCU, and, if he feels like, hey, crap, I've been here for 3 years busting my ass and they're going to shower all this stuff on him. If there's any truth to that, then that bothers me a great deal.
Well, how would you feel though? I mean, this guy, there was something I read where the guy might have $1 million nail deal. How would you feel about that? I'd be butthurt too. I'd be like, fuck this shit. What the hell am I doing? You know what I would do? I would do what most young people should be doing when they're working for corporations now, getting a different job, because you get a bigger raise going to a different company than you do staying with the one you've been at. Because they go, oh, we'll give you a cost of living raise. Some company over there is going to go, well, we'll give you like 20%. Which one are you going to go with? I mean, that's just, there's a certain amount of yes team, but there's also a certain amount of I ain't dumb, and I have to look out for myself too. So let's go, Mr. Team Guy. I'm spelling team with TIEM. It's kind of Dutch or something.
Just you got the R behind your name, and that just is typical of the attitudes of that political persuasion. And so it doesn't surprise me at all. Do what's in my best interest. Fuck the rest of the country. Fuck the rest of the team. Just do what I can to protect myself and my self-interest.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Time out. We got. I apologize to everybody for these teams. It's
descending. You thought it started bad.
Who is the player that allegedly is getting the big NIL offer that allegedly made Casey Rogers unhappy?
O'Shawn Mathis
from TCU.
Okay.
Rumored.
Right.
Rumored.
There's also rumors out there that Casey Rogers is damaged goods right now, that there's not a whole lot of tread left on the tires, that he's banged up. And, but, we don't know any of that kind of stuff. And nor, I guess, is it our right to know that kind of stuff. And so maybe if there is a little bit of wear and tear, and if he can work something out where he can get into a good graduate program that's going to further his career in athletic or sports broadcasting or whatever it is, okay, so be it.
And O'Shawn Mathis is not at Nebraska.
He's at TCU, deciding between Texas and Nebraska, supposedly.
Okay. So, I guess defensive end is Casey Rogers was he hand down? Interior.
He was a hand down guy.
Yeah, those are like, I can't believe this. I have to explain this to a Division I college athlete. There are high profile players that are exciting, and then there are interior linemen. Now, one of them is going to attract fame, fortune, ladies,
cheerleaders.
I said ladies. And the other one is not. So if those rumors are true, and we don't know, that's all allegedly, right? We got to say allegedly. Like, suck it up, Buttercup. He has a perfect opportunity, this Casey Rogers, and everybody who's ever seen a picture of him knows he could be right out there in the same commercials with Troy Polamalu.
He could
for Head and Shoulders.
Yep.
So you're saying we should raise money?
I will start the donations right now. Look, Everybody, hold on. Where's let me get my Venmo so I know people can send me money.
I got half a bottle of Head and Shoulders I'll chip in.
I have almost a full bottle, thank you. But we're not talking about look, he's probably a Pantene guy anyway.
Wow.
What? Pantene is a very fine.
Okay. I don't know.
He surrendered.
I don't know. I'm not going here.
He surrendered.
I'm just gonna say that nose tackles in the 3-4 defense, those guys on the interior, they don't get a lot of stats if they're doing their job properly, but they eat blockers and they eat the middle of the line and they hold their ground.
Look, if
you can't just put a guy out there and call him a big, huge, giant mass and have him be a good guy that does that.
And if he was going to be a giant, then we probably should have had this conversation 8,000 years ago. And we'd probably be digging him up in the middle of a field somewhere. But here's the thing. If you're an interior lineman, just realize that you're not going to get paid in college. You're not. But you could have a very long and lucrative career in the NFL if you do your job right.
Well, there is a sunshine and lollipops explanation to this. And Casey Rogers did not, he didn't participate in spring practice. So maybe as he was observing spring practice, he's seen all these young studs, and he doesn't think he'll get the playing time because he's going to be behind some of these young guns. So there's your happy explanation.
Todd, if you would have said that an hour ago, we could have called it a show.
Well,
why couldn't you be that positive from the outset?
The Buckies and Dunnies, the Duckies and Bunnies explanation. Buckies and okay, just move on.
John, do we need to let you go?
No, it's okay.
Okay, because that the longer we're on here, you still have to write the article.
I do.
Hope you've been taking notes.
Well, no, I know what I'm going to call this.
Buckies and Dunnies.
No, I'm going to call it. I know how to kill a grizzly bear with my head. I punched a horse once.
No. Here's what you do. You call it, I know how to kill a grizzly bear, because if you say with your head, they're not going to.
They won't read any further.
They won't read it. You got to make it a little clickbaity.
Oh, okay.
So, I hope that you're right, Todd. The last part that you said, not all the other crap. But the Casey Rogers from the sideline saw the progress of every other interior lineman and said, you know what? These guys passed me by. I hope that's the case.
That'd be nice if it was.
And I'm not gonna shit on the guy. He might still come back to Nebraska. We don't know. But it's fine. I learned long ago, not that long ago, probably since we've been doing this podcast. So 6 years. But I learned a while back that, and I've said it, I've tried to beat this in for the last 4.5 years. There are bigger things in life. There are more important things than what some 22-year-old kid decides to do.
Well,
don't sweat it. Drink a beer, enjoy your scotch, and John, whatever it is that you do to unwind, it's probably not much because I don't think you know how to unwind.
I fall over.
Okay, but not dead.
Greg, the only part of that concerns me a little bit, and I'm on board with you, is I remember when I was 23 years old and my girlfriend said, I want to date other people. Go date other people.
Is that when she bring other people to the bed?
No, she was gone. I just out of here. And when people want to explore their options, and hopefully not close any doors. Okay.
It's the equivalent of saying, yes, I'll go out with you unless something better comes along. It's really insulting. But in this case, he does have some leverage, I think. And Nebraska kind of does need that position filled. So part of that is, are these guys going to, if he does want to come back, are these guys going to let their step aside with their egos or their thoughts about the whole team thing and let him come back? Or, then it leads to, people wondering if he's giving all his effort and, he's going to be attacked for that. I think once you get into the transfer portal, you should just, like Todd said, they're pretty much said, I'm done. You know what I mean? This isn't about exploring my options. I'm leaving.
There's one other aspect to this, and Todd, I thought you were heading there very early on about the me mentality, right? But if he's gonna go, do we need the press release via Twitter, or can he just go? It is a bit of an attention thing. Like, I don't know if he's saying that so that other coaches from other schools see it or what, but like, it is kind of hey, look at me. Like they always say in the comments section of like Facebook or YouTube or something like that, whenever something displeases someone, they say, that's it. I'm never supporting this TV show, this movie, whatever. And they're like, hey man, it's not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. See you later.
I don't think he didn't. He just thanked people, after the news came out, he just thanked Nebraska.
I guess, yeah, it depends on which order you saw the tweets. If you saw that, and I was like, oh, hey, crap, Casey Rogers is in the portal. And then, but I mean, that was pretty fancy photoshopping. Like he had that ready to go.
I could go somewhere here, but we're already like an hour and a half into this, aren't we?
No, you started this thing an hour and a half ago. Remember, we were half an hour late, or Todd was.
God. Okay, then I'll say, I'll point this out. You never notice when these guys do all these? Oh my God. Do you ever notice when these guys do all these thanks for Nebraska things, how many of them they don't mention Frost? Am I wrong about that? Is that something I just have noticed? They thank for being at Nebraska, but they don't really normally mention him much. Maybe that's just...
Yeah, you're feeding into Todd's hatred. You are Luke Skywalker and Todd is the Emperor. I can feel your hate flowing through you.
Maybe
strike
I'm
Scott
Anakin
down and your turn to the dark side shall be complete.
Maybe I'm Anakin, a young Anakin.
I don't know about young.
True.
The softball team's on an 18-game winning streak.
It is tremendous. We are all very, very happy for them. And because they're doing so well, there's not really a whole lot to talk about in the drama department.
It's very true. But they are headed to Wisconsin for 3 games this weekend and still leading the Big Ten Conference. Finally got ranked, and they were ranked in, I think, 4 different polls. So that's a good thing.
It is. It really is. And the baseball team, they got that win over North Dakota State University.
Yep.
And then they're on the road this weekend to Indiana.
Yep. Went to the game last night. And
how was it? Tell me about your game time experience, because you were adamant that you were going to attend the game. My question is, did you in fact cheer for Nebraska?
I cheered for Nebraska. At a couple of different times. I stood up and clapped my hands and yelled enthusiastically.
And that's why you're so sleepy tonight.
And even at the end of the game, when Braxton Bragg had a 2-2 count with 2 outs, I was standing up with everybody else in the stadium. So
I hope you were clapping a little bit more enthusiastically than
Okay, I'm a little lethargic right now, Greg, but
Todd, I appreciate you putting up with me. Thank you.
What do you think our prospects are against Indiana?
I think it'll be if somehow they can hit the ball, I think they've got a chance because Indiana does not have solid pitching, but Indiana is going to hit the ball all over the park too. It could end up being, it could be a lot of crooked numbers on the scoreboard.
15-13.
Possibly.
Shea Shanneman is going to be your Friday starter.
Yep.
And then Saturday and Sunday. Actually, oddly enough, they have the same starter listed.
I know.
Initials are TBD.
Yeah, I was surprised they're going to start the same guy 2 games on a week.
He better just get as soon as that final out is recorded on Saturday. He just better start icing that shoulder because he's got a
whole other
weekend
game
ahead. So
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what the point of that is, but whatever.
I don't think it's gamesmanship. I think honestly, it's uncertainty.
I would say you're probably right.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Will.
They seem to be inconsistent enough that you're kind of like, how do you feel before the game? And that's who you want to go with. You feeling good? Feeling good. Good. You're starting.
Yep. No, they probably have whatever, however they manage their bullpen time and that kind of thing. I would guess that Coach Christie and Coach Bolt will probably go up to Emmett Olson and Cody Frank. No, Cody. Frank.
Yeah.
That is the big debate this week.
Well, that Frank guy. So I would guess that they'll probably make a determination between one of those two about who's going to start on Saturday would be my guess. But, isn't it interesting that Nebraska loses 3 of 4 games to Brigham Young and has the pitch? It still has the pitcher of the week. I mean, that just.
For a 1-0 shutout.
That's how men's sport has gone this year. All the 3 major sports. It's just been a harrowing nightmare.
Yeah.
I thought you said we're going to say a heroin nightmare. I'm like, that's probably pretty accurate too. I've never done heroin.
I'm thinking about it.
No, you're not. I know better. So
no, I'm not even going down. Just gonna stay away.
Probably for the best. Let's face it, folks, that's probably about it. That's just about as much meat as we can get off the bone this particular week. Hopefully we know more next week. Hopefully decisions are made. Money exchanges hands. Sean Mathis is in Lincoln, and we can make Todd happy because Todd wants a stud. He wants a dude with experience on that defensive line.
Yes, I do.
And John wants a stud in the wall that he can hang a picture to.
I want another quarterback. We should go now.
That's it. I'm Greg Mahochko. For myself, for my illustrious co-hosts, John Dam Johnston and Todd Wolverton. Thank you so much for listening. We remind you this week and every week that 5 heart is all the heart you need. John?
There is no hope. Fuck everything. Go Big Red.
The Iowa Hawkeyes still suck.
There you go.